All right, my name is John Moffat, and this is an introduction to the management accounting paper for ACCA. It used to be called paper F2. It's now MA. The job of the management accountant is to help management improve, grow the business. It's different from the financial accountant, which is examined in the financial accounts exam, but the financial accountant by law, once a year, has to prepare statements, reports of how well the business has done, how much profit it's made, and so on. But the management accountant's job, there are no legal requirements for the management accountant. Their job is to help managers make better decisions for the future. And that's what the syllabus focuses on. There's the main syllabus headings. The full syllabus is on the ACCA website. But I'll leave the first one to last. The other four, cost accounting techniques. What we're talking about there, suppose we're a manufacturing company, we make desks, but we make them ourselves. It's terribly important that we can calculate how much it's costing to make a desk. We need to know the cost of making it, if for no other reason than when we decide on the selling price. Obviously, we want to make sure we charge more than cost. And so we need to calculate the cost. We need to sit down and say, well, how much wood are we using and how much is the wood costing? How much labour are we using and how much is that costing, and so on. It's cost accounting, calculating the cost of what we produce. Which may sound a very obvious thing and easy, but in fact there are quite a few techniques involved which we need to learn and which you're examined on. Another job of the management accountant is budgeting. Making plans for next year. The word budget means plans. And so planning for next year, not simply as some people think, oh, how much profit are we going to make next year? But there's a lot more detailed plans needed. If I make desks, we need to plan how much wood are we going to need to buy next year. We're going to need to plan how many employees we need next year, and so on. And so again, it's a vital bit of the management accountant's job. And you'll see there are quite a few techniques and terminology that are involved in budgeting. Standard costing. I said before that if we make desks, we need to be able to calculate how much it's costing to make a desk. But we can also use it very much for what we call control. That we can sit down and decide how much should it cost to make, how many square meters of wood should we be using and how much should we be paying for the wood. And having decided how much it should cost, then usually month by month, as we start producing, we can compare what we actually spend with what we should be spending. Maybe we find we're using too much wood, more than we expected. Or maybe we find we're paying too much for the wood, more than we expected. But it's important we find out. And if we are spending more than we should be doing, we need to find out why. And if it's because we're doing something wrong, well, maybe we can find ways of correcting the problem. A desperately important bit of the syllabus, and in fact that last bit, is what we call variance analysis. And finally, performance measurement. I've said the job of the management accountant is to help managers improve the business in the future. Well, it's important we keep measuring how well we're doing. Are we doing better? Are we doing worse? So that we can see, are our policies helping things? If things are getting better, great. If things are getting worse, well, what's going wrong? What can we do to improve it? And so various ways we can go about measuring. Obviously, are we making more profit? But there are lots of other things that we can measure to determine, are we performing well or aren't we? I left the first one till the end because all of what I've just discussed, measuring performance, measuring the cost of what we produce, it needs information. And so there's a section of the syllabus discussing what sort of information we need. Where are we going to get the information from? And so there essentially is the syllabus. Obviously in the lectures, which I'll talk about shortly, we go through everything in detail. But, all right, there are only the 5 headings, but there's quite a lot of learning under each heading. As far as the exam itself is concerned, excuse me, it's one full exam, but there are 2 sections within it. Section A, 35 what are called objective test questions of 2 marks each. And they're a series of fairly short questions where, well, some of them, there may be a choice of 4 answers and you pick the right one. Others, there may be a box and you do some calculation and type in the answer. There are various different ways they can present the questions. I'll tell you later where you can find examples of the different styles of questions. But there are 35 separate 2-mark questions. Section B, though, has 3 what they call multitask questions of 10 marks each, where there's more information, but then several questions on the same information. So each of these 3, there'll be some information, then there'll be maybe 4 or 5 questions on that information. And in total, for each of these 3, there's 10 marks, so a total of 100 marks overall. And the examiner has said that Section B, these 3 fuller questions, they will always come from, sorry, I'm getting very messy there, but those 3 sections of the syllabus. One will relate to budgeting, one to standard costing, or variances, which may not mean much yet, but will later, and one from performance measurement. The exam is done on a computer, not your computer, but at the exam centre, and it's on demand. So you can take the exam anytime you want. You can't just walk in, obviously, and demand to take it. You need to book an appointment first. But again, you can find on the ACCA website where in your country you're actually able to sit the exam. I say you do it on computer, it's 2 hours. The pass mark, as in all ACCA exams, is 50%. And you get your result immediately. So hopefully the results are passed and that's it. If something has gone wrong and you fail, you find out immediately. You can retake the exam as soon as you want. As to how to study for the exam, well, on our website, on the Open Tuition website, everything is free of charge. Everything. And so the main thing is we have notes and lectures. There are lecture notes that you can download and print out, and lectures going through every chapter, video lectures going through every chapter of the notes. And the two do go together. The notes themselves are only lecture notes. It's in the lectures that I work through the examples, I explain what's happening, we expand on the notes. So it's vital you do the 2 together. In addition, various other things that stand to be useful. Flashcards, you'll see when you look at them, they're a quick way of just revising, particularly terminology. Tests, at the end of every chapter in the lecture notes, there's a link to an online test of 5 or 6 questions of the sort of type you could get in the exam. There's a full online 2-hour mock exam, the same sort of structure as the real exam, Section A, Section B. With forums, a paper MA forum where you can effectively talk to other students, ask other students for help, that sort of thing. And quite importantly, an Ask the Tutor forum, where if there's anything you come across which you're unclear about and you need help, you type in your question and we reply always within 24 hours. Now, all of that is free, and the notes lectures cover more than enough to be able to pass the exam well, but it is vital that you buy, this isn't free I'm afraid, but that you buy a revision kit or an exam kit, different people call it different things, from one of the ACCA approved publishers, which are BPP and Kaplan. They both produce these revision kits which are full of exam standard questions, and it really is absolutely vital to practice as many questions as possible, not just to test that you have learnt what's needed, but you get used to the wording of the questions. All too often it's too easy in a hurry to misread and things, but you get used to the wording and you get used to the time pressure, because one huge problem is the time pressure. 100 marks in 2 hours. You haven't time to sit and scratch your head. You've got to know things perfectly, be good on your calculator. It really is boom, boom, boom. But that's practice. Finally, before hopefully you start working through the video lectures, just one way or a couple of ways you can actually help us. We do give everything free, and the only way we can keep the website going and improve and expand is by more and more people using us. So please do spread the word, tell your friends, subscribe to the YouTube page. At the top left of every lecture, if you hover your mouse over it, you'll see a button where you can subscribe. It doesn't mean pay. Again, everything's free. And do help other students in the forums. I say one is Ask the Tutor, which is specifically for me to answer questions in. The other forum for the paper is for students to help each other. So do, a good way of learning is to explaining something to someone else who hasn't understood it. So there we are, that's all an overview. But it's an interesting paper, it's enjoyable. So download the lecture notes, start working through the lectures.